আচ্ছা আচ্ছা
ইয়ে স্কলার ছিল আমাদের এই
বিষ্ণুবাবু।
বিষ্ণুবাবু
আচ্ছা বিষ্ণুবাবুর স্কলার ছিলেন। আচ্ছা 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 আচ্ছা। তাহলে পবিত্রকে তো চেনেন আপনি? পবিত্র এখন আমাদের ডিন।
হ্যাঁ
আমাদের ডিন
পবিত্র আমার একই ইয়ারে পিএইচডি হয়েছে কমপ্লিট।
আচ্ছা 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 হ্যাঁ পবিত্র এখানকার ছাত্র না?
আমরা একসাথে আইনস্টাইন হোস্টেলে অনেকদিন কাটিয়েছি।
হ্যাঁ
অপূর্বর সাথে।
আপনার 1 বছর জুনিয়র ছিল, আমরা সব একসাথে ওরিয়েন্টেশন করলাম, যেবারে ওই 11 জন মাত্র ছিল, মনে আছে আপনার? 98 এর জুনে
একটা সময় ছিল, খুব কষ্ট করে কোর্সটা হয়েছিল এবং অনেক কাণ্ড কারখানা হয়েছিল। ইউজিসির কাছ থেকে পারমিশন করে নিতে এসে অনেক কাণ্ড কারখানা। ওরে বাপরে,
সিনিয়ররা সবাই আপনাকে চিনে।
হ্যাঁ
সিনিয়ররা সবাই চিনবে।
ওকে স্যার, স্যার আপনাদের পারমিশন চাইছি, কি স্টার্ট করব আমরা?
Yes, it is 4 o'clock, please.
আজকে মিটের কোয়ালিটি অনেক ভালো আছে। কাল তো আমাদের খুব ভুগিয়েছিল
সবাইকে, খুব
তাই। সবাইকে কাল আমরা মিটের কাজ ঢুকতেই পারিনি, স্ট্রিমিং করে দেখতে হয়েছে আমাদের সব।
হয়তো অশোকদাও এসে গেছেন, কোঅর্ডিনেটর।
আচ্ছা আচ্ছা আচ্ছা, ওকে।
Hello everybody,
please স্যার, নমস্কার স্যার।
অপূর্ব ভালো আছেন তো?
হ্যাঁ ভালো আছি স্যার, নমস্কার।
হ্যাঁ নমস্কার স্যার, ভালো আছেন?
অনির্বাণ?
হ্যাঁ
আচ্ছা, মুখটা দেখতে চিনতে পারবো হয়তো, নামে তো তোমার নামটা দেখে বললাম এখান থেকে।
আমার নেটটা খুব বাজে।
হ্যাঁ নেটটা খুব অবস্থা, এই কালকেও তাই ছিল। ওকে, এবার ঠিক আছে, মুখটা দেখালে। ভালো আছি।
ভিডিওটা অন রাখা যাচ্ছে না, কেটে যাচ্ছে।
আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে, ওকে, নো প্রবলেম। তো রিমি ম্যাডামও জয়েন করে গেছেন তাহলে।
হ্যাঁ স্যার, লেটস স্টার্ট।
সো লাইভ স্ট্রিমিং চেক করা হয়ে গেছে?
হ্যাঁ হয়ে গেছে, অল ওকে।
ওকে,
পার্থ ইউটিউব স্ট্রিমিং স্টার্ট হয়েছে?
হ্যাঁ স্টার্ট হয়ে গেছে, অল ওকে।
So, good afternoon everyone. Myself, Dr. Remy Roy, an assistant professor in the Department of Botany at J.K College Purulia, welcome you all for the second day of the webinar related to the observance of World Environment Day. Since 2020, we are going through an unprecedented and extremely difficult situation due to the COVID-19 pandemic. It has affected us severely, and we are battling it with all possible efforts. However, on the contrary, the same crisis has led to the partial restoration of the environment. Today's special talk on the topic Environment and Sustainable Development Goals by our renowned resource person, Dr. Opul Ghosh, is going to address several points on this aspect. Now, to initiate today's special event, I would like to request respected Dr. Shantanu Chattopadhyay sir, the principal of J.K. College Purulia, to kindly inaugurate the session. Please, sir.
Thank you, Rimi. On behalf of J.K. College Purulia, I welcome you all. Welcome Professor Apurba Ghosh, Department of Environment, Burdwan University. He is a renowned professor in environment and his lectures are very much interesting. আমাদের ছাত্ররা গতবার দেখেছো, যারা হয়তো থার্ড ইয়ার আছে তারা মনে করতে পারবে যে 2019-এর যে উনি এসেছিলেন কলেজে এবং এত ইন্টারেস্টেড লেকচারস উনি দিয়েছিলেন, আমরা প্রত্যেক অভিভূত Sir, we have implemented all of your suggestion in our college. I think from this lecture we will benefit again. Sir, welcome from our college. Again, I am inviting you to come to our college when situation will restore.
Sure.
Thank you all. Sir, please.
Thank you, sir. Now I would like to request respected Dr. Ashrakumar Agarwal, sir, the coordinator of IQAC, J.K. College Purulia, to kindly say a few words about today's event. Please, sir.
Thank you, Rimi. Very good afternoon to one and all. On behalf of IQAC J.K. College Purulia, I first extend my heartiest welcome to our resource person today, Dr. Opul Ghosh, Professor, Department of Environmental Science, University of Burdwan. Our college principal, Dr. Shantanu Chattopadhyay, all my esteemed colleagues from our college as well as from other colleges who have found time to join this webinar, and all my dear students. This is my proud privilege, in fact, as the coordinator of IQAC, to once again be associated with this kind of a very important discussion, because we all know that environment is not just an academic issue. Environment is something which is directly related to all our lives. Sometimes we may be conscious or we may not be conscious, but the fact remains that environment is something which we cannot simply ignore. Whenever in the journey in our civilization, for any reason, for the growth of industry, for growth of economics, or whatever reasons, whenever human beings try to be greedy or try to ignore the environmental issues, in the short term, we might have gained, but in the long run, we all suffered. And as Rimi rightly pointed out, that in the present scenario, especially the last 15, 16 months or so, the COVID-19 made it very clear to all of us what might happen if we still are not aware of the seriousness that environmental consciousness demands. And today's topic, environment and sustainable development goals, I'm sure would tell us about not just environment, but how we can have a holistic growth all around. Not just the industrial growth, not just the economic progress, but progress of humanity, progress of society. In fact, this is such a topic which is very important for all of us to remember that any growth without proper integration with environment cannot be growth in the long term. In fact, this is our second leg of a webinar that we started yesterday, observing World Environment Day yesterday, and today it is the second leg of our program, and I'm very confident that we are going to have a very enriching experience. So welcome everybody once again, and thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your kind and informative words. Now, it is my great pleasure to introduce the eminent speaker for today's session, Dr. Apurba Ghosh. He is now the Professor of Environmental Science in the University of Burdwan in the Department of Environmental Science, West Bengal. He was the Joint Director of the Internal Quality Assurance Cell and Director of UGC Academic Staff College, presently known as Human Resource Development Center of the university. Dr. Ghosh has received the Indian Science Academy Visiting Fellowship and Fellowship from Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, Mumbai. He has received Best Presenter Award from IQAC Austin, USA, and acted as invited speaker and panel expert in the University of Manchester, Texas, UK, and BITS in China. He has got authorship of 8 books, 8 chapters in edited volumes, and 114 research papers, published in refereed national and international journals. Professor Ghosh has already bagged 19 research projects and schemes sponsored by different Indian agencies. He is actively engaged as member coordinator with peer team of National Assessment and Accreditation Council. He has worked as expert member of University Grants Commission, NUPA, as well as expert member of different universities. He has got experience to work as an expert member in Academic Audit Committee in Northeastern universities and other universities. He is also nominated as expert member of Assam Public Service Commission, Jharkhand Public Service Commission, etc. He has been assigned as resource person to deliver lectures on academic audit and green audit in different academic institutions. He is the life member of different national and international bodies and editorial board of national and international peer-reviewed journals. Dr. Ghosh has already delivered more than 40 seminar lectures, 50 lectures in 18 different ASCs, now known as HRDC, 76 invited popular lectures, and chaired over 12 national and international conferences. So we are really honored to have you with us.
Thank you, Madam. Thank you, Principal Sir, Professor Agarwal Sir, all the dignitaries present today, my beloved students, and really I am proud that when Rimi contacted me to deliver my lecture on 5th of June, I told her that I am awfully engaged since 8 o'clock in the evening. It will be only possible it can be made on 6. Even then, our program was just completed at 3 o'clock. So I am really fortunate enough. It is my proud privilege and opportunity to me that was given by you to address as well as to share my experiences with you people, even as desired by me. Sometimes the program is fixed by the authority, by the institute, then they invite the resource persons. And this time I do feel honored because of this is only due to the relationship with us. And we have got a very good link and association with the J.K. College Purulia. I do salute you people all, to give me this opportunity to share some of my knowledge, some of my experiences regarding the environment development, the Millennium Development Goals, as well as sustainable development. Okay, so can I start, Madam?
Yes, sir. You may.
Okay, so I want to share some of the slides that with me. Madam, is it fully visible? Full screen?
Yes, sir. It is visible to us.
Okay. So first of all, I must address in this way that this situation which we are paying for, maybe the COVID, maybe the different flood situation, maybe the super cyclones, that is only due to the reason that every time we are ignoring, we are delaying to think about the responsibility, the duties that we have to do to our Mother Earth. And always we are evading the truth. What the scientists are giving the data, what the predictions are made by the scientists, always it was denied, it was ignored by the politicians in different occasions. Once upon a time, ecology was defined. It is a science. It's a concept. But over and above, it's a political organization. So, since then, every time the protocol which was made by the scientists, when they have to take the measure to prevent the situation, either it was denied by the policymakers, decision makers, over and above the government. As a result of that, this dystopian relationship between the man and the nature worst. And today, the situation we are facing, that is back-breaking situation. We are facing these multiple back-breaking situations, starting from our health, our ecosystem, our common people. I can mention one thing. In 2020, during February 10 to 12, our Prime Minister inaugurated one occasion. It was a flagship event. The name of this event was World Sustainable Development Summit, organized by the TERI, Tata Energy Resource Institute, and where he addressed that we should keep in our mind, and he emphasized two things. First one, health for the people, health for the planet. Now the scientists are added one thing, I can make this more emphatically, that healthier the ecosystem, healthier the planet, and our people. Our blue earth is Goldilocks. It is not too hot, not too cold. Our earth is beautiful and bountiful. আমাদের পৃথিবীর মতো এত দানশীল পৃথিবী আর কোথাও নেই। We are endowed with this. We are covered with these resources that we have. We are not giving the pace to our Mother Earth to restore him. Sometimes many people are talking about that the COVID situation has given us some breath, to take some space to breathe. But even then, this COVID situation, it also creates a pressure on the nature. One of the things is which has been pointed out by so many scientists, that pressure was in the forests. Anyway, I will come to this point afterward. So, if I go to the evolution of the environment and the present scenario of the social development, then I have divided this in three broad channels. This is current trends of policies, and these channels are conventional words, barbarization, and great transition. You see that in the first slide I have mentioned the market force. I will tell you everybody that today even 500 companies in the world are controlling 70% of the world trading. Do you want to know some of them? ExxonMobil, Johnson & Johnson, Samsung, Electronics, Bank of America, Actually, these powerful global actors advance the priority of free markets and economic expansion. And actually, these market forces, I will show you, these market forces have tremendous pressure on environmental degradation. So, the policymakers sit together, they started to discuss about it, and the governments are able to forge comprehensive initiatives to align the economy with environmental and social goals. Because sustainability is based on 3 pillars. I will come to the later on. With the environmental and social goals, we made some incremental changes, but we have never been able to make some fundamental changes. Therefore, it brings about the uneven distribution. You see, this is called fortress world under that urbanization, where the systematic global crisis was developed and it was deepens into the society. The powerful international forces are able to impose order in the form of authoritarian system. They were surrounded by these big walls, and it was invaded by the common peoples suffering from this economic stress. As a result of that, it will see this imbalance, what you have seen in the fortress world, it will break down. These authoritarian forces of fortress world are unable to counter all these things. So spreading of chaos as environmental and social crisis. This environmental and social crisis spiral out of control and conflict the spreading. Ultimately, we turn the tide into this new communalism, which has been started. It incorporates green vision of bioregionalism, localism, and face-to-face democracy with the development of small technology and economic autonomy. That was assaulted into environmental restoration as well as repairing. Sometimes you may be asked by so many students, sir, whether man can repair the nature? The question is a big question mark. Nature has its own capacity to restore, to repair, to reclaim itself. But if you degrade in such an extent, then nature will face the problem. So if it runs, then we will be shifted to a new paradigm that is called new sustainability. In this new sustainability, we will see the globalization. Some of the people are thinking that globalization, it is not only as a threat, but also as an opportunity to construct a planetary civilization. The civilization that will envisions the abundance, ascendance of new categories of consciousness that is called formation of global citizenship, humanity as a whole, wider wave of life, and well-being of future generation. In 2021, the UN Decade for Ecological Restoration, they are thinking about this generation restoration. That means whatever we are doing, without sacrificing the need of the present. We have to do something for our generation. Ultimately, we have to restore the earth. So, what we have considered in the World Environment Day 21, that means we will keep the time to earth for its restoration. Now, what happened? If you see that when this UN decade, which was started sometimes in 2021 to 2030, what they had told? They told that this phenomenal growth of this population, deforestation, climate change, biological diversity, the loss of diversity, everything that must be taken into account. Before going this slide, I will tell you to my students particularly about the sustainability. The definition of the sustainability within a very simple word, it means ability to exist constantly. And this word sustainability, if we disperse this or divide into two, sus and tenure, T-I-N-E-R-E. Then tenure means to hold, and the sus means sub or under. That means this sustainability we have to hold under something. And for your information, this word sustainability was first used in German forest circles by Hans Karl von Karlowitz in 1713. But it was first used in the WCD, that is called World Commission on Environment and Development, in 1972. It was also published in the book, British book, which is known as Blueprint for Survival. And United Nations, in its document, first used this word in 1978. And after that, also, you know, that Brundtland Commission made the definition that will meet the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generation. And the word sustainability, which was emphasized very much after the Ellington, he also coined one thing that is known as triple bottom line. In the triple bottom line, he mentioned the sustainability as the integration of social, economic, and environmental value. The values of this environment, it was first emphasized in the book that is triple line, bottom line by Ellington in 1994. So in the World Summit of 2005, Sustainable Development prepared 3 goals: economic development, social development, and environmental protection, which was observed during the United Nations Millennium Summit in 2000. And for the declaration of this development, they have made international development goals for the year 2015, which we called as UN Millennium Declaration, signed in September 2000, where we have covered some of the issues like poverty eradication, environmental protection, human rights, protection of the vulnerable. And in this Millennium Development Goals, there are 8 goals, which contains 21 targets. And this Millennium Development Goal, which was being taken granted, and after 2015, in the year 2016, we have seen the Sustainable Development Goal when UN Secretary General Kofi Annan signed a report entitled "We the People: The Role of United Nations in the 21st Century." I will be showing some of these points which is used in the Millennium Development Goal. As I mentioned you, there are 8 goals, and the 7 is very important to ensure the environmental sustainability. All we know, the National Education Policy, which is followed in the year 2020, this was also under the Sustainable Development Goal. On the right, I will also mention it. Now, this Millennium Development Goal emphasized 3 areas: human capital, infrastructure, and human rights. I am not going detail about it because this is some only to show you regarding this. These are the different goals. Now these goals are converted into zeros. That means zero poverty, zero hunger, like that. I will emphasize this one because this achievement of universal primary education, this is one of the Millennium Development Goals, which has been imbibed in our National Education Policy 2020. We have to promote the gender equality, equity, and women empowerment. We have to take care of our child mortality rates. If we do this thing, it can be done as and when we will take care of our maternal health. And as you know, that in this Millennium Goal, 2 or 3 diseases was emphasized. One of them is HIV/AIDS, malaria, and tuberculosis. And our concern of this goal number 7, with ensure environmental sustainability. Actually, this sustainability that should have to integrate the principles of sustainable development, and that should be followed by every country. And every nation must make the policy and the program to reverse the loss of environmental resources. And they have used the very good terminology, turn the tide. So this reverse action should be incorporated into the country's policy and programs. Then only we can reduce the biodiversity. Where the next 6th extinction or annihilation, the mass extinction, is possible if we do not take care of this biodiversity. So this population without sustainable access to the safe drinking water and basic sanitation. And we have to improve this life. So this is all about the Sustainable Development Goals, Millennium Development Goals. Now come to the Sustainable Development Goals. What is the background of it? It was started in June 2012. That means after the Johannesburg World Conference. And the Sustainable Development Goals, they have designated it as a global goals. And beforehand, there are so many actions and scopes only to discuss about the policies of reduction of carbon dioxide. But after 2012, it was declared that whatever the nation it is, whatever the country it is, if they cross the limit of carbon dioxide or greenhouse gas emissions, they will be put to the court. So this was the very important measurement. It was taken at Rio20. And these Sustainable Development Goals, they have constituted 17 goals, and within 17 goals, there are 164 targets. But for your information, these 17 goals are interconnected. That means every goal should balance, should make a measurable and mensuration for the commitment of the society. So these sustainable goals with 169 targets signed on March 2015. And it has a set of common standards, and particularly I will emphasize these SDGs are designed to bring the world several life-changing zeros, as I told you earlier, including zero poverty, zero hunger, zero AIDS, and zero discrimination against the women and the girls. And they put a slogan, very important, the important slogan for all my students: leave no one behind. Please work together so that we can make generation restoration. Now in these Sustainable Development Goals, I will only consider the goal number 13, 14, and 15. You please see, this is 13, where they have introduced the climate action, which has taken very important commitment towards the restoration of the climate changes. They have observed, if by 2030 we are not being able to restrict the change of the temperature within 1.5 to 2 degrees centigrade, then we have to face a devastation in otherwise. And it has been told by some scientists that this decade may be the last chance, for restoration of the world, if we not been able to reduce the carbon dioxide level, to reduce the global greenhouse level. And within this Sustainable Development Goal, they have made a very commentary work, that is life below water. As you know, that this life below waters, it was talking about the starting from freshwater to oceans. The oceans, it has constituted a sources, one for sequestration of carbon dioxide, second for providing the 50% of the food for the terrestrial life, as well as the sources of energy and biodiversity. And the scientists are talking about the alternative energy sources, that is called blue economy. If you consider the agricultural economy, then you consider the brown economy, which was based on the fossil fuels. Then you come to the green economy, when we are imposing the solar energy, wind energy, hydropower, etc. Then come to the blue energy, that the blue carbon, that is within the ocean. So every life which is present in the earth, particularly in the ocean, starting from temperature of -2 degrees centigrade to 100 degrees centigrade, that is observed in the hydrothermal vent. So everywhere there is a life, and we have to preserve this life. But we are not taking care of this life due to our excessive carbon dioxide emission, which is causing acidification. That is resulted into bleaching of the coral reefs. Next, come to the land on life, life on the land. The land, that means our terrestrial part. When we are talking about the ocean, If you consider the 50 centimeter bed of the ocean, there are 10 to the power 30 number of microbes. Similarly, in the terrestrial part, if you do not consider the presence of these microbes, which is number into 1 into 10 to the power 29, sometimes the huge mass of it, huge number of it crossing the 1,000 times of the human population. So we have to take care of this life below earth, life below water, and life on the land. So these are all about sustainable development. Now, as a result of that, what we have done, these are the environmental degradation that we have done. Let us consider this farming system. You consider this farmland. You consider this pasture land. You know that from this pasture land, we are emitting. There are at least 30% of the methane from this pasture land. You come to the deforestation. What is made by the man? It is considered simply after 1990. After 1990, 420 million hectares of forests undergo deforestation. We have damaged it. Every year we are destroying the forest at least 10 million hectares. So since 1990, deforestation was 420 million hectares, which is equal to the map of the India and Portugal. And every year we are losing 10 million hectares of forest land, which is equal to the South, which is equal to Korea. My friends, I have also calculated one thing. Every second we are destroying 1 acre of forest. Do not think that we have to face this huge amount of carbon dioxide, which was once upon a time done by these forests. So where will be this released carbon dioxide? So this is not the problem. This is not the solution to stop the industry, to stop the human activity. We have to keep the space for the nature. We have to achieve this forestation program. Yesterday, if you see the Anandabajar Patrika, I have also talked about it. One of my friends asked me the question where there is repeated flood in the Sundarban area. And I have given this instant when I have not even seen the Anandabajar Patrika in the morning. I told them the much amount of deforestation which have caused due to the mangrove, if we restore this mangrove, then we can stop the flood. And it was, as you have seen, if you see the Anandabajar Patrika yesterday, and they have done it. So man can do this thing. This poverty is another cause of environmental degradation, which was first announced by the great lady late Indira Gandhi, the then Prime Minister of India, when attended the World Conference on this environmental development during 1972 at Stockholm. Since then, when all the people, all the country, all the nations are talking about pollution, she told, no, poverty is the major reason for this environmental degradation. As a result, you see, after 1972, the lady, I can talk about her, the hands that cradle the rocks can rule the world. I am also thinking about the performance, about the activity of the women. In one hand, they can rock the cradle. In another hand, they can rule the world. So this zero poverty definition, which has been taken granted by the MDGs and SDGs, now came back after this 2020. And this is prolific urbanization. This is overpopulation. See, I have given this slide only to imagine what is the exponential growth of this population. Only you see the gap of it. 1.5 billion years we have taken. 1.5 billion number we have taken for 150 years. You see, from 6 billion to 7 billion, that means 1 billion we have increased only by 11 years. And after 2011, we have done just latest data we have collected, I have collected in the May 2021, it is 7.9. The highest projected population is 16.0, which can be achieved, we can achieve in 2050. And I have also given another data that is the lowest projected when the population is 6.0. It may be a big question, I am not going in detail about it. But the environmental impact, what it is due to landslide, soil erosion, then mudslide, then flood. See, occurrence of the flood, if you consider in the 20th century and the 21st century, you will see. In the 20th century, there was a major 5 floods in India. But in 21st century, already we have crossed within 2020 8 major floods. So it's resulted into migration. It's resulted into earthquake and resulted the health effects of the human being. The health effects of the human being due to simply, I have given one example of some examples on air pollution, which is causing 60,000 to 75,000 premature deaths per year. And in the year 2019, it was declared that only 1% out of 10 is getting fresh air. Only 1 man out of 10 individuals getting fresh air. And due to this air pollution, these are the death toll in 6 lakh people, over 2 million people worldwide, and we have not been get rid of this indoor air pollution, where there is a combustion of coal and biomes of cooking for cooking. That my mother and the women, my sisters, those who are facing this problem. And in the worldwide, it is 3 billion people. And we have seen 2 million deaths per year. And as I have considered the air pollution, I have also considered the tobacco smoking. A few days before, you have celebrated the No Tobacco Day, where you have seen, at least this year, at least annually, worldwide, there are 5.4 million death cases. Toxins. The use of these pesticides. I can remember in 1946, Sir James Muller received the Nobel Prize for the DDT, discovery of DDT, invention of DDT. And DDT was used in America for making the production of crops 200 times more. Now these pesticides became toxic substance. And whatever the toxic substance, if you consider 85,000 chemicals, which has been used in 6 trillion tons annually, and more than 90% that has been not screened for their toxicity tests. So these chemicals are used by human beings, and we are using 5 billion pounds per year pesticides worldwide, 1.5 billion pounds per year in US, and we have seen the death 3 pound, we have seen that every person, those who are getting the pesticides in their body, that is 3 pound% per year. That is in general cases. Accordingly, EPA, they have told that the 3 lakhs people, those who are working in the farm, they are suffering from the pesticide-related diseases. And it was in USA, and worldwide the number is 25 million. According to NAS report, the pesticide in food could cause up to 1 million cancers only, irrespective of other diseases in the current generation. Accordingly, WHO also reported that the 10 lakh people are killed by the pesticide simply during the last 6 years. And these are the diseases which is occurred, which is connected with pesticides. And the industrial disasters that we have seen, starting from Minamata to Chernobyl disaster. I will show you a slide of this pathetic disease of Minamata that is due to mercury infestation. And these all related issue, all these negatively affected issues causing the global crisis, where we have seen the 3 billion people are at risk of this disease. I will tell you, sir, the disease which is first reported in 430 BC, 430 খ্রিস্টপূর্বাব্দে পৃথিবীতে প্রথম যে রোগটা এসেছিল সেই রোগটির নাম ছিল টাইফয়েড। যদিও সেই সময় সেই টাইফয়েড রোগে মারা গিয়েছিল অন্তত ৭৫,০০০ থেকে ১ লক্ষ লোক। 25% of the population was destroyed. তার থেকেও বড় ঘটনা ঘটেছিল ১৩৪৬ খ্রিস্টাব্দে, ১৩৪৬ থেকে ১৩৫৬ খ্রিস্টাব্দে। The disease was known as Black Death. আমরা কেউ কেউ একে বুবুনিক প্লেগ বলে ডাকি, which was occurred. সেই disease, now we have facing the problem with this another disease, that is COVID. And this is all related, linked with this global warming. I'll tell you later. So this disease, because of this water quality in our river, lakes and groundwater, a fifth of the world river basins are experiencing dramatic fluctuations in water availability. As a result of that, we have seen some of the areas are categorized as water stressed, and some of the areas water situation is critical. And for that, if you see that this planet is facing triple crisis of climate change. The first one is biodiversity loss, second one is pollution, and the third one is wastes. I have seen here, I have shown you that in the 20th century, the flood situation, and the 21st century, the flood situation. All it was happened, as I have pointed out to you, that is deforestation. Because this tropical forest constitutes 7% of the land surface, contain 50% of the plant and animal, and majority of this tropical forest are destroyed. And that was the estimate I have given you. During this COVID-19 situation, this pandemic situation, during this time, it has also increased the risk of deforestation. It was being reported by some of the scientists worker. Why? Due to reverse migration into the rural areas, where they face the greater pressure on the forest to provide the subsistence livelihood. So all these negatively affecting the people, the biodiversity, and the planet. So it also has a knock-on effect on the achievement of other sustainable development goals. As I told you earlier, that all the sustainable development goals, that means 17 sustainable goals with the 169 targets, they are interlinked. And ultimately, this poverty, hunger, or destruction of the health will must or press the action, that means climate action. Now I will come to the last part of my lecture. So why we call it ecological restoration? Why we given so emphasis on it? As I have mentioned it, that the flood situation in more than 7 states in India and drought in the others, the flood situation in China and Russia. We have seen the natural disaster in the single year in the past. The numbers which is continuously increasing. And it was all connected. And the main reasons behind it, that the use of high and reckless consumption of fossil fuels. So it's the time, as I told you, maybe the last chance for this generation to restore our earth, starting from forest to farmlands to freshwater, the oceans and the coasts, which are making the vital and diversified nature of the earth's ecosystem, and that makes the human property, that makes the human prosperity and the well-being. But even knowing all these things, we are degrading the precious resources. That is why United Nations declared that 2021 to 2030 should be considered as a decade on ecological ecosystem restoration, because it will give us this opportunity to help turn the tide. This word, turn the tide, it's become a phrase, reverse action of events. It was used by so many scientists, this terminology, and give the people and nature a sustainable future. So what will be the ambition? The upscale global ambitions to turn the tide on deforestation and meet the Sustainable Development Goals and United Nations Global Forest Goals. This year we have thinking in this way, to reimagine, to recreate, to restore. That means if we work together, we can be able to do something for our next generation. That means we can call at that time generation restoration. Therefore, if it is done, we can give some peace with the nature. We have to make a peace with the nature. For that, we have to give pace to our earth. So we will be active, but don't anxious. We will be bold, but we should not be timid. If we do this thing, we can also able to restore our earth. Actually, the program on UN Decade on Ecological Restoration, it was 21 to 30 to restore the planet. And they told that every action matters. And it is not only for that day, but it is every day. And if we are able to make our ecosystem healthier, if we are able to make our planet healthier, then we can also save the people. That means we will be saved if we make it. So every continent, every nation must follow this thing. If it is followed, then we can end our poverty, we can combat the climate change, we can prevent a mass extinction. So let us start for the global movement. And this extraction of the resources, water to wood, that would be used under a sustainable manner. Because, as I told you earlier, simply the deforestation and other land use activities account for 11% of the global greenhouse gas emissions. And this forest restoration alone has the potential to remove 13 to 26 gigaton of greenhouse gases. I will also take your opportunity that if we only recycle half of our domestic wastes through the peatlands, through the vermicomposting, then we can be able to reduce the level of carbon dioxide half. Can you imagine this thing? So these small activities, if we maintain the temperature of the AC at 25 degrees centigrade, not below that, we can restore the carbon dioxide at least 1/4. Can you imagine this thing? So these small activities, if we switch off, switch on our computers, our TVs, our laptops, our everything, when it is not in use, how many carbon dioxide can be reduced? So if we are able to do this thing, in another way, if we are able to protect our marine life, the coral reefs, the mangroves, the sea grasses, we will be. Because as I told you, the blue carbon means sequestration of carbon dioxide. Only, you see, these are the population of only 5%. But they are consuming, they are absorbing, they are sequestering a huge amount of carbon dioxide, which is emitted in the terrestrial. So, our world needs transformational change, bringing the degraded ecosystem back to life. For that, we have to do what to do, particularly in your place where there is a drought. I am sure about it that the tree plantation program will be your annual program. And এই যে অরণ্য সপ্তাহ পালিত হবে, আমি চাইব প্রতি বছরের মতো আপনারা এই অরণ্য সপ্তাহের সঙ্গে যুক্ত হবেন। কারণ পুরুলিয়া এমন একটি জায়গা যেখানে বৃষ্টিপাত কম হয়, যেখানে ড্রট বেশি, রুক্ষতা বেশি, যেখানে অন্য গাছের প্রচলন কম। আপনারা সেটা ওয়াটারশেড ম্যানেজমেন্টের মাধ্যমে, আপনাদের ছোট ছোট পাহাড় আছে, নিচে একটা লোল্যান্ড আছে, সেই সমস্ত জায়গাতে যে বৃষ্টিপাতটুকু হোক না কেন সেটাকে জমিয়ে তার চারপাশে প্ল্যান্টেশন করা, দুদিকেই সেটা রক্ষা হবে। আমি চাইব আপনারাও এই অরণ্য সপ্তাহটা পালন করার ক্ষেত্রে নিজেরা উদ্যোগী হবেন। তবে এটা নিশ্চয়ই যে বর্তমানে কোভিড সিচুয়েশন আমাদেরকে কতটা হেল্প করবে আমি জানি না। তো যাকে আমাদের কিছু কাজ, এই যে প্ল্যান্টিং ট্রি, ক্লিনিং আপ দ্য রিভার ব্যাঙ্কস, জানেন বলা হচ্ছে হিউম্যানিটি ইজ ফেসিং অ্যানাদার প্রবলেম উইথ দ্য প্লাস্টিক্স, এটা আমরা সবাই জানি। বলা হয়েছিল যে বিট প্লাস্টিক পলিউশন ইন 2019 when India conducted the World Environment Day। সেই জায়গায় তখন দেখেছিলেন আপনারা নিঃসন্দেহে যে বলা হয়েছিল যে হার্দিক পান্ডিয়া এক ওভার বল করতে এসে যতটা সময় নেয় তার থেকে 4 ট্রাক আমরা প্লাস্টিক সমুদ্রে নিক্ষেপ করি। এমন একটা দেশের কথা আজকে আমি বলতে এসেছি যার মাধ্যমে এই মেসেজটা আপনারা সবাইকে দিতে পারেন যে কেনিয়ার মতো একটা দেশ, they have also done a great job and their fight against this plastic pollution, and they are the first countries in the East Africa to limit the single-use plastic. And they have already signed this. I can say they have already signed this Clean Seas initiative to rid waterways of plastic wastes. অর্থাৎ আমি চাইব যে আগামী দিনে যেন আমরা এই প্লাস্টিকের ব্যবহার আমাদের যে শিক্ষিত সমাজ যারা আমি বলি যে উই হ্যাভ টু প্লে দ্য পিভোটাল রোল ফর দ্য সোসাইটি। আমরাই শিখিয়ে যাব আমাদের ছেলে মেয়েদেরকে, আমাদেরকেই শেখাতে হবে আমাদের সোসাইটিকে, আমাদেরকে শেখাতে হবে আমার সোসাইটিকে। কারণ we have some social corporate responsibility, we have some institutional social responsibility. শুধু কর্পোরেট সেক্টর কিছু করলো আর আমি যে ইনস্টিটিউশনে থাকি সেখানে কিছু করলাম না। আমার একটা কথা, এই ইনস্টিটিউশনকে এগিয়ে আসতে হবে, তার জন্য এইটুকু তাকে ভাবতে হবে, তাকে সবাইকে অ্যাওয়্যার করতে হবে যে কেন আমি প্লাস্টিক ব্যবহার করব না, কেন আমি গাছ লাগাবো। আমি যদি শুধু এইটুকুই তাকে বোঝাতে পারি, আমার মনে হয় যে উই ক্যান ডু সো মেনি থিংস। দেখুন, আমাদেরকে এই কোভিড সিচুয়েশন এবং এই যে ঘন ঘন সুপার সাইক্লোন, তাতে সেটা আমফানি হোক বা যশ বা ইয়াস যাই হোক বা টাইফুনই হোক, তারা কিন্তু শিখিয়েছে যে we are as strong as the weakest link, as strong as the weakest link. কারণ আমাদের এই টাইফুন যখন আমাদের দিকে glaringly looking towards us, really we are frightened about it. কারণ আমি সবার শেষে এই কথাটাই বলবো, মানুষেরই ক্ষমতা আছে to foresee and forestall. Man has the capacity to foresee and forestall. আবার সে কিন্তু পারে, he will end by destroying himself. সে কিন্তু নিজেকেই শেষ করে দিতে পারে। আমরা চিন্তা করব এই রেসপেক্টে that human being should be the protector of nature, not the conqueror of the nature. এবং উদ্দেশ্য হবে for the greatest good, for the greatest number, for longest time. So I hope that I have been able to manage this thing within a time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for enlightening us about such an interesting topic. I'm sure all of us, especially our students, are hugely benefited by this captivating and highly informative session. So if you insist, can we take some questions from our participants?
Sure. তবেই তো বোঝা যাবে যে তারা আমি পৌঁছাতে পেরেছি। এখন তো ফিজিক্যালি পৌঁছাতে পারছি না, সবসময় সেই গ্যাপটা তো থেকেই যাচ্ছে, কিন্তু যেটুকু বলছি সেটা যদি মনে ধরে, আশা করব আমি অনেকখানি পেয়েছি। এবং আমি চাইবো যে আপনাদের কাছ থেকেও এরকম ইন্টারাকশন আশা করব আমি। Now you can the students, the participants may be involved in this process, in this interactive session.
It seems, yes, anyone? Okay, so it seems some of the participants have posted questions in the WhatsApp group.
Okay, sir. Okay, madam. হ্যাঁ, আপনি সেখান থেকে বলুন আমাকে।
হ্যাঁ, নিশ্চয়ই স্যার। যেমন one participant has asked, does sustainable development apply to all fields of environment?
নিশ্চিত, সাস্টেনেবল ডেভেলপমেন্ট পরিবেশের সমস্ত জায়গাতে অ্যাপ্লাই করা যাবে। এবং মনে রাখতে হবে যে ইকোলজিক্যাল সাস্টেনেবিলিটিটা নির্ভর করবে ইকোসিস্টেমের যে নিজস্ব ক্ষমতা আছে। ইকোসিস্টেমে কিন্তু মনে রাখা দরকার, there are two groups of animals, two groups of life. One is grazing, another one is detritivore. তো এটা নিয়ে অনেক ডিবেট আছে, তো যে whether we will consider the grazing biomes only or the detritivore only. সেখানে কিন্তু দেখা গেছে the role of detritivore is huge. সুতরাং আমি কিন্তু পরিবেশের এমন কোনো জায়গা নেই যেখানে বলতে পারবো না যে সাস্টেনেবিলিটি ইন দ্য ইকোসিস্টেম অর ইকোলজিক্যাল সাস্টেনেবিলিটিটা ম্যানেজ হবে না। ইট ইজ পসিবল।
Thank you, sir. Next question is, as you said about mass extinction, is this mass extinction going to be anthropogenic or natural?
Yes, it is anthropogenic. The Holocene era is called as Anthropocene, and this era was started in 1945. We have to face, in the meanwhile, we have already destroyed 60 million species. আমরা হয়তো অনেকেই জানি এই মুহূর্তে যে কটা স্পিসিস আমরা আইডেন্টিফাই করেছি তার সংখ্যা মাত্র 20 মিলিয়ন, কিন্তু আমরা পারিনি এখনো পর্যন্ত যার সংখ্যাটা হচ্ছে 75 থেকে 2000, এটা আমরা এখনো পারিনি। কিন্তু আমরা কিন্তু নষ্ট করে ফেলেছি প্রতিটা, সেটা ইনভার্টিব্রেট হোক বা ম্যামেলি হোক, প্রতিটা সেক্টরে আমরা কিন্তু মাস এক্সটিংশনের দিকে যাচ্ছি। এটা কিন্তু 6th মাস এক্সটিংশন বলা হচ্ছে, 6 অর্থাৎ 6ষ্ঠ বা 6 নম্বর মাস এক্সটিংশন, এটা কিন্তু কথা উল্লেখ করা হয়েছে।
Thank you, sir. আর একটা কোয়েশ্চেন জিজ্ঞেস করছি, is protection of the natural environment and biodiversity one of the greatest civilization challenges of the 21st century?
ম্যাডাম আরেকবার একটু বলুন।
হ্যাঁ নিশ্চয়ই স্যার। Is protection of the natural environment and biodiversity one of the greatest civilization challenges of the 21st century?
Yes, not only 21st century. আমি যদি একটু ইতিহাসটা বলি, 1903 সালে তাবান্তে আইরেনিয়াস তিনি নোবেল পুরস্কার পেয়েছিলেন। তিনি নোবেল পুরস্কার পেয়েছিলেন কেন জানেন? তিনি নোবেল পুরস্কার পেয়েছিলেন, আমি আমার ছাত্রদের জন্য বাংলাতে বললে অসুবিধা নেই তো?
না স্যার, একদম না।
ওকে, তো তিনি নোবেল পুরস্কার পেয়েছিলেন যে আমরা যদি এই ফসিল ফুয়েল গুলো বেশি ইউজ করি তাহলে আমাদের, তখনকার দিনে কোল মাইন ছিল, আমরা কিন্তু কার্বন ডাইঅক্সাইডের পরিমাণটা বাড়িয়ে চলবে এবং দ্যাট শুড বি ডাবলড। এবং তিনি কতগুলো মেজারমেন্ট বলেছিলেন যে এই পৃথিবীতে কার্বন ডাইঅক্সাইড কি করে মাপা যাবে, এবং তাকে তিনি নোবেল পুরস্কার পেয়েছিলেন। এবং তিনি একটা খুব সুন্দর কথা বলেছিলেন যে আমরা এই কোল মাইন গুলোকে আকাশে ছেড়ে দিয়েছি, সো এই যে কার্বন ডাইঅক্সাইডটা বেড়েছে, এই কার্বন ডাইঅক্সাইডটা বাড়তে শুরু করেছে। তো 1972 সালে প্রায় 1700 বিজ্ঞানী একটা কথাই বললেন যে আমরা কিন্তু পরিবেশের ক্ষতি করছি এবং বায়োডাইভার্সিটি লস করছি। 1700 বিজ্ঞানী 1972 সালে। তার 25 বছর পরে 21,000 বিজ্ঞানী একই কথা বললেন যে এই যে পরিবেশ যেটা নষ্ট হচ্ছে, এটা কিন্তু দ্যাট ইজ ডিউ টু ক্লাইমেট অ্যাকশন বা ক্লাইমেট চেঞ্জ, তার সঙ্গে বায়োডাইভার্সিটি হিউজ অর রিলেটেড। কি করে? তারা বললেন যে এই বায়োডাইভার্সিটি লস এবং ক্লাইমেট চেঞ্জ এটা হচ্ছে একটা কয়েনের দুটো দিক। আমি একটা ছোট্ট এক্সাম্পল কিছুক্ষণ আগে হিউম্যান পপুলেশন দেখিয়েছি, সেখানে বলেছি মাত্র 50 বছরে যদি মানুষের পপুলেশন ডবল হয়েছে, তাহলে মানুষের মিট কনজাম্পশন বেড়েছে 3 গুণ। কেন জানেন? ডিউ টু দিস লস অফ ওয়াইল্ড অ্যানিমালস। এবং তাদেরকে নষ্ট করা হয়েছে, তাদেরকে খাদ্য হিসাবে ব্যবহার করা হয়েছে, তাদেরকে ঔষধ হিসাবে ব্যবহার করা হয়েছে, আয়ুর্বেদিক ঔষধ হিসাবে ব্যবহার করা হয়েছে। এবং দ্যাট ওয়াজ ডিউ টু দিস ডিফরেস্টেশন, অ্যাজ এ রেজাল্ট অফ দিস ডিফরেস্টেশন, অ্যাজ এ রেজাল্ট অফ দিস বায়োডাইভার্সিটি লস। সুতরাং হিউম্যান সিভিলাইজেশন, মানুষ যে কথাটা একসময় বলেছিল অ্যানথ্রোপোসেন্ট্রিক, আজকে সে কথাটা মিলে যাচ্ছে অক্ষরে অক্ষরে। তার নামই দেওয়া হয়ে গেছে অ্যানথ্রোপোসিনি ইপক বা এরা, যেটা শুরু হয়েছে 1945 টিডিটির পর থেকে। সুতরাং হিউম্যান সিভিলাইজেশন একদিকে যেমন বায়োডাইভার্সিটির লসের জন্য দায়ী, অন্যদিকে এই হিউম্যান সিভিলাইজেশন যদি নষ্ট হয়, যদি মাস এক্সটিংশন হয়, তার জন্য কিন্তু দায়ী থাকবে, তার জন্য কিন্তু মেন ফ্যাক্টরই থাকবে এই বায়োডাইভার্সিটি লস। এটা কিন্তু বিজ্ঞানীরা মেনে নিচ্ছে।
All right, sir. Thank you for this interactive session. So moving forward, we have reached the penultimate moment of today's event. With that, I would now like to request respected Dr. Partho Protim Shaha, Assistant Professor in the Department of Zoology, J.K. College Purulia, to kindly address the vote of thanks. Please, sir.
Okay, thank you all. Good afternoon to one and all gathered here. On this wonderful afternoon, on the behalf of the J.K. College Purulia, I would like to present vote of thanks, and it is a matter of pride for me that I got the chance to thank everyone present here. So first of all, we would like to take the golden opportunity to thank the respected chief guest and our main speaker of this webinar, Dr. Opurba Ratan Ghosh Mahashoy, Professor of Environment Science, University of Burdwan, for his valuable speech on environment and sustainable development goals. Sir, we will cultivate the advice and ideas on sustainable development that you gave. Thank you, sir, for sharing your valuable time with us, and we will definitely expect you in future also. Sir, I extend my gratitude to the respected principal, sir, Dr. Shantanu Chattopadhyay Mahashoy, for inspiring us to organize such a wonderful webinar. Thank you, sir. Next, I would like to thank our respected Dr. Ashrakumar Agarwal, sir, the IQAC coordinator of J.K. College Purulia, for sharing his words regarding what should be the point of view of a common people like us to protect and maintain the sustainable development of our mother environment. Thank you, sir, for such a beautiful talk and guidance always you provided to inspire us. Next, I would like to thanks to respected Dr. Remy Roy, Assistant Professor, Department of Botany, the host and organizing secretary of the webinar, and to all my senior fellow colleagues and delegates, and of course the students who have participated in this webinar to make this event successful. And last but not the least, I would like to thank the whole technical team behind the screen, especially Swastik Mahato, Kinjol Dotto, Jagriti Pal, for making the telecast smooth in online platform. Thank you all once again to make this webinar successful.
অতি অবশ্যই আপনাদেরকে থ্যাংক ইউ জানাবো।
Now I will request.
তা নইলে গতকালকে যেরকম সমস্যা হয়েছে সে সমস্যা থেকে এত সুন্দর করে আমি যে আমি না মানে গতকাল এত পাট্রাপ ছিলাম যে ভালো করে বলতেই পারিনি, এটা হচ্ছে তো ওটা হচ্ছে না, এটা হচ্ছে তো ওটা হচ্ছে না। আর আপনাদের কাছে তো যাবই, কারণ দেশি মুরগির মাংস তো খেতেই হবে আমাকে সেখানে গিয়ে।
হ্যাঁ স্যার, অবশ্যই অবশ্যই, মানে সিচুয়েশন ঠিক হলে আমরা এক্সপেক্ট করব আপনি আসবেন। So now I will request Dr. Remy Roy to conclude the session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Dear all, we appreciate your kind presence despite the present adverse condition. Thanks again for joining us today, and we will see you next time. Hereby, I conclude today's program. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.